In this video, I'm going to show you how to raise your credit score fast. Now, I'm sure you've heard of a credit score. It's just this 3-digit number, but it carries a lot of weight because it signals to lenders how likely you are to pay off a credit card or a loan on time. What that means is the better your credit score, the more likely you are to qualify for loans and credit cards at favorable rates. So you're more likely to qualify in the first place, and if you do qualify, you're more likely to get good rates. That means lower interest rates, so you pay less money in interest. And just a quick hello, welcome back. I'm Erika Kullberg. I'm a lawyer and love helping you take control of your money. So let's jump in and talk about the 5 most important factors that play a role in your credit score. We'll do the quick overview first, then I'll give you more details and specific tips, so be sure to watch until the very end. Your credit score will thank you. So your payment history accounts for 35% of your score, credit utilization accounts for 30%, credit history length accounts for 15%, credit mix accounts for 10%, and new credit accounts for 10%. Let's dive deeper into each. So 1 is your payment history on loans and credit cards. You always want to be making payments on time. Credit cards are an amazing tool if you're making every payment on time, because then you can do things like travel hacking, which is basically using your credit card points to get free flights and hotels. In this video, I got over 19,000 of travel for free by travel hacking. But credit cards are really dangerous if you're not paying them on time or using them to buy things that aren't in your budget. So you only want to be using credit if you can pay in full each and every month. You don't want to miss even a single payment, because for your FICO score, payment history accounts for 35% of it. It's really important. So obviously, in an ideal world, you want to pay in full each month, but let's say you have credit card debt, which you're not alone, almost half of US adults do. Then you just want to focus on paying off as much as you can and getting that number as close to 0 as possible and not continuing to add on to that pile. So download my free budget tracker and start tracking your expenses. The second factor is how much of the credit available to you you're actually using. It's called the credit utilization rate. Now, what this is going to look at is all of the credit available to you, your credit limits, and how much you're actually using. This is the equation. Credit you're using, so your credit debt, divided by your total available credit. So let's say you've put $3,000 total onto your credit cards, and your total credit available between both credit cards you have is $10,000. That means you're at a 30% utilization rate. You generally want to keep this percentage lower than 30%, since that'll look good for things like your FICO score, and it's just an indicator that you're doing well managing your credit responsibilities. Something I do a couple times a year, I'll call up the credit card companies and ask them to increase my credit card limits. Now, this isn't because I'm looking to spend more on my credit cards, but if I'm making this number higher, then my utilization goes down, so that's better for my credit score. Another tip to get your credit score higher, especially if you're just starting out, is to see if you can be added as an authorized user on another person's account who has good credit and is using their credit responsibly. The third factor that's considered is how long you've had your accounts open, your credit history length. This accounts for 15% of your FICO score. It considers things like the age of your newest credit account, age of your oldest one, and the average age. In general, the longer your credit history, the better the score is. This is why if you feel like you can be responsible with it, I would look into opening a credit card right when you hit 18, just so you can start building that credit. You want to open a card that has no annual fees. One that I'd recommend is this Discover It card. They have a version for students too. And the reason you don't want annual fees is because your first credit card, you want to keep it open forever, because if you close that first card, then the length of time your accounts have been open will decrease and your credit score will probably take a hit. So I don't use my Discover It card anymore, but I'm still keeping it open because it's my oldest account. So that's a quick and easy tip to get your credit score higher, is to not close any old accounts and make sure at a minimum your first credit card does not have annual fees, so that you can keep it open forever without having to worry about a fee. Fourth factor is credit mix. This is all about the different kinds of credit that you have. You can have installment credit, things like student loans and auto loans that have this fixed end date and payments due every month. or revolving credit, like credit cards or a home equity line of credit. These things don't have a specific end date or set balance. Finally, the fifth factor is new credit. So this takes into account the number of credit accounts that you've recently opened and also the number of hard inquiries, sometimes you'll hear them called hard pulls, that lenders make when you apply for a new line of credit. A hard pull is just a lender asking to see your credit file since they need to see it to assess whether they want to give you the line of credit or not. So these hard pulls might have a negative impact on your credit score, but typically it's very short term and only impacts the credit score for a few months. But that being said, you don't want to be applying for 10 different credit cards in a short period of time. That's just not going to look good and might just set off some red flags. Something else is you want to regularly be reviewing your credit report. You'll just go to annualcreditreport.com to get your free credit report and take a look to make sure nothing seems off. And if something is off, you see something in there that shouldn't be in there, like a late payment that you actually paid on time, you want to dispute that inaccurate information immediately, since that could be negatively impacting your score. So now that you know all of this important information, next up is this video where we're going to cover travel hacking with credit cards.